Hey everyone, welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. So today is the ultimate Deathknight day. If you've been logging in every single day, then today you have just unlocked ultimate Deathknight. Should you max him out, should you put the books on him, this will be the ultimate video where I go through the ultimate Deathknight. Okay, I've maxed him out already, I've made teams, I've tested him out, I know pretty much everything on how he works. So base this on my, first how many hours? 5 hours of playing with Ultimate Deathknight and testing out teams with him. So with the regeneration set that you must have received through just logging in every day, you must have some good pieces, hopefully, that you can use for him. Ideally, regeneration is good for him. And the reason for this is because he'll be taking the damage from his very unique passive, right? Ultimate Deathknight seems to be a very strong damage mitigation champion. So he takes those single target hits that your champions would receive and transfers them to himself, where his defense matters, where his HP matters, where his affinity matters, resistance, and all that. That's how his very unique passive works. So it's this one right here, too awesome to die. So any single target hit, the first hit, will be transferred to Ultimate Deathknight. So if somebody has multiple hitting attacks, then not all the attacks will be transferred to the Ultimate Deathknight. It will only be the first hit, where it says completely blocking the first hit, and it's only from single target attacks. Unfortunately, I would have loved if this was for AoE attacks as well, but that would have been very broken and he'll probably just straight up die. If that was the case, maybe not against Trunda, maybe he would have been very strong against the Trunda because he's force and the weak hits would matter there. But anyway, this is like a very strong passive, and this is what makes him so good. Actually, his other skills are okay. You don't need to book him. I would say if you're just starting out, there's no reason to go out of your way to spend your books for him. The reason for it is his utility comes from that big passive, his very strong defensive stats, his defensive aura. And if you happen to have a few books and you're feeling lucky, you can book this out and get the shield and continuous heal at a lower cooldown. But that's only if you are comfortable in, gambling with your books. If not, if you're reaching, close to get Seal of the Drakes at day 180, or you have it already, she is actually a better choice as an overall carry for most of the content out there. I think that Ultimate Deathknight is going to be a big carry for the Hydra, for anyone out there that's looking for some help in the Hydra because of the decreased attack, the protection from single target attacks, especially the Head of Mischief. Once the new Hydra comes in, I'll post another video today. But the regeneration set, I find that it's great for him. You'll need resistance on him, you'll need accuracy, and unfortunately, if you're trying to beat the higher versions of the Hydra, you'll need more and more of that. So let's have a look at the overall stats that I'll build him with. 5,000 defense, 50,000 health, almost 220 speed, 389 resistance, and 238 accuracy. Resistance overall is not required to be that high, okay? Especially for dungeons, all the way to 25, you need about 300 or so to have almost, the best chance to fully resist the enemy debuffs. Have that in mind when you're building him out. So let's say if I didn't have my Great Hole bonuses and Faction Guardians, I would have had about 280 resistance. That's about the amount that you need. 200 plus accuracy is needed if you plan to land those decreased attacks. If you don't care about those, then you don't even need accuracy with Ultimate Deathknight. And then speed, I like to have speed on him because I'm using an immortal and a regeneration set. Both of them work together and both of them will be healing Ultimate Deathknight whenever he takes a turn. He also gets healed through this passive right here, which heals by 20% whenever an enemy is healed. So for the few enemies out there in the dungeons that do heal, he'll also be gaining 20% of that. And remember, if it's a high HP enemy, he'll be gaining that 20% of that. So it really will get him to full, and depending on the heal. Like the spider in the spider dungeon, that heals him if the spider takes a turn, but you don't want the spider to take a turn, right? In terms of masteries, how you want to build Ultimate Deathknight, I would say you definitely do not need War Master, okay? War Master is there only if you're lacking a little bit of damage. That's how I've built him for. I would highly suggest going the support route, extra accuracy if you need that decreased attack. If not, go for the extra health. I went for the extra shields that this champion casts because his multiplier is a little bit lower. you want to go for the extra shields, extra accuracy here. You can go with this for extra turns, depending on what you want, or you go for life drinker if you want to use him to solo any content out there. And then lasting gifts for that shield and healing over time that he applies with the A3 skill for them to have a chance to be extended to 3 turns. The same thing goes for his debuff, the decreased attack debuff, to be extended for 3 turns, right? And that's how I've built him. Other ways that you can go is the defense route and support. You always go support. And for the tier 6 mastery, my choices would be unshakable and eagle eye, depending on how low you are on either of them. I wouldn't go anything like iron skin, maybe bulwark, but honestly 5% is not going to change the way that the fight goes, and he doesn't work that well for protecting the whole team from AoE attacks. He's only for single target attacks, and for those, I mean, it's fine. You can use him without bulwark. You can use something else like extra resistance so that you can resist, let's say, a defense down or something like that, for when doing when equipping him with something like a stone skin set. So have that in mind. Let's see him in action, and I'll show you exactly the teams that I've built and the way that he works. So he's so good at damage mitigation that you can take anything in there on stage 20, and as long as you understand the basics of building a team for each dungeon, then you should be okay. So like the ice golem, you need a decreased attack, but there it is, the ultimate Deathknight will do that role. For dragon and ice golem, you need a poisoner to survive to the boss, and the poisoner to survive to the boss will make the run quicker. That can be either your Kale if you have one, frozen banshee if you have one, anything like that will matter. Okay, if you do happen to have apothecary, that helps a little bit with healing, but look at the big shields that he's applying to the whole team. The defense down, the decreased attack is just great for just going through. But now have a look at the attacks that will be going to your other team members that will be immediately targeted to Deathknight. So look at that, boom. So instead of going for my other members, you see that the buff says target changed. So instead of going for Kale, the attacks go to ultimate Deathknight, where he is also strong affinity on 20, so he gets weak hits on him. He has high resistance, so no debuffs are applied, and he constantly does his own moves because he's fast enough. So over 200 speed is something that is nice to have. Look at that. The single attack there from Tyrell was changed, and barely no damage was taken. Like only the shield was moved so far. So that is how you get protected and basically survive with no need for crazy stats on your other members. So what I have is the basics, okay? The accuracy that is needed. I've got speed on apothecary, which is how you build him, right? As much speed as possible. The accuracy needed to land the defense downs, and if you do happen to have stun sets, which I do have on my War Maiden for that secret room, I'm using that, and it really helps survive. The only thing that is bad is AoE attack. So you have to be careful. If you're running in a dungeon where there's going to be AoE attacks, you will be getting hit. So you cannot protect through everything with ultimate Deathknight, but he helps a lot with the single target attacks. And let's just see some of these if they take a turn. But look at his animations. The animations are so good. I love them actually. When he runs, especially when he runs from round 1 to round 2 and round 2 to round 3, you'll see like he runs and holds the sword like that, and just it's so funny to see. But look at that, boom, and you reach the boss, and here basically you'll need the poisoners, right? And that's the idea behind the dragon dungeon. The ice golem, as I said, you'll need to apply the decreased attack with which the ultimate Deathknight has. He'll not be protecting through the AoE attacks. That's why I mentioned the decreased attack. And I'll show you my spider team as well. I don't think he's going to be so good for the Fire Knight dungeon. He'll only be good for helping you go through the waves. He'll not be good in terms of reducing the shields from the boss. But he'll be the one protecting, let's say, a lure from those single target hits that might be taking her too low. He'll be the protector, and that's what you want to have. So that's why he's so good, and the passive doesn't need any books. So again, he is so good for that. I like when I saw the passive, I was sure he was gonna be awesome. The bad thing is the multi-hits and AoE attacks are not protected. It doesn't work 100% against bosses, which I think is wrong. It should have been 100% even against bosses, because almost all bosses in the game have AoE attacks. So anyway, you cannot cheese them with this. I'm trying to think if any boss has just single target attacks, but I can't think of any right now from the top of my head. But yeah, look at that. Only Hydra, and some of the heads are like that, and others have, you know, different moves that do AoE attacks as well as single target. So that's how it works. But let's see the spiders then, teams that I've made. So this team that I've made right here, that one is for 25. I'll show that in a little bit, but I've made this team right here, and this team utilizes basically the armigers and a speed booster. You don't need the speed booster, you can have anything in there to basically do stage 20. And because of how it works, the fight is so enjoyable to see, because you keep the turn meter down. You have the ultimate damage mitigation even if he takes strong hits from 20, because he has high defense. He's got the defense aura, he manages to survive, and then you just have the armigers there to do the damage, and that can help you push through and beat the spiders. So we're taking those hits in, and look at that. And even when the targets go to the armigers, we can still survive. We've got big shields, we've got healing from apothecary, we've got healing from the regen set, and in this way we slowly take down the big spider. If you don't have anything for the spider, he's the key for you to push all the way to 20, I would say. After that, it becomes a little tricky, because you cannot cheese anymore with turn meter reduction as easy as it is all the way to 20. For 21 to 25, I would say you need more firepower and more specific champions, but as long as you can farm 20, then you should be okay. So look at that, he's going low from the strong hits, and sometimes he has poisons applied on him, but he still survives and can take down the boss. And I'm actually going to be showing the part of the run somewhere on this screen right now as you're seeing this. So let's end this battle, and let me just show you the other fight right here for stage 25, where you want to have something stronger than that. You want to have, let's say, either an HP burn champion, or if you're gonna use the cold hearts, you need to make sure you have you set up their AI a little bit differently. So let me just show you what I mean with that. So I'll remove which cold heart? I'll remove number 3 from here. Now I'll just get in an HP burn champion, and pretty much that should be enough to do this. So boom, let's get Tunisia in there, and again, all damage mitigation will be going through to Deathknight. You just need the turn meter control from everything else. So you see defense down weaken, that really helps get the damage in there. You don't need it, but it really helps. Even get extra turns there from the relentless sets, and all the HP burns are doing a ton of damage. We are protected at all times. We have stuns, we have control, and that ensures that we take down the boss very easily, right? He's there to protect the teams, he's not there for damage. That's why I said War Master is not needed. It does help with the timings, and it does help if you're going for a more solo type of setup. But yeah, boom, look at that. I'm gonna get the other A3 soon from Cold Heart. I mean, this is not even the best team possible. Like with my Cold Hearts, I don't even need a defense down weaken. I'm just showcasing how you can use like a very fast Cold Heart maybe for this setup, plus defense down, plus a weaken, just to ensure that you get the 773,000 that you need to do the maximum amount of damage from 21 to 25 in the dungeons. And come on, take a turn, small spiders. But his animations are so slow. He runs so slow, it makes it painful to see. Boom. He's not gonna be in any of my teams, honestly, but because of how good of a carry he is, he's for sure gonna be in your guys' teams, especially the people who are just starting out and just want to see something good that can carry them through the content. And then for PvP, let's have a look at PvP, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So for PvP, he's so good against single target nukes that you can just place him there and know that when a single target attacker is going for your team, you'll basically be protected, and you don't really need to care about having such a strong you know, supportive team against a single target nuking team. Okay, so let's say a Rotos is against you, you'll have that to protect yourself. So right now what I'll do is I'll try to apply the decrease attack. That's going to help a little bit with damage. There's the fear as well, by the way. That's nice. So look at that, single target, it went on him. Let me just go and try and kill this guy. Boom. Yeah, that's the power of my Rotos. Take that out again. I'm just waiting for the enemy Rotos to go and try and kill someone. He did it on my legendary. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. He did it on Ultimate Deathknight instead of going on Rotos. Talk about stupid AI. I'm guessing because he was lower in health. And we take him out. Boom. Come on. Target change. Look at that. Oh, I think he wasn't targeting before. But did the target change? It goes so quickly that I might have not noticed. I might have not noticed. So here we basically have Deathknight to protect my team from single target attacks. So Leorius is not single target, but if I manage to lock out the team using a champion such as Warlord or Basher, then Leorius will have to go with his A1, and his A1 can be very, very strong and can be, you know, very high damaging attack. So let's see if he can manage to protect my team through this. I'm gonna try and sleep the enemy arbiter there, and now I can lock out Leorius, and he'll be just doing the single target attack. So what I'll do now is I'll try to provoke here at least. And did you see that? So that's what I meant with the damage mitigation being only on the first hit. So Leorius does double hitting attack. The first hit went onto Deathknight. The second hit though went onto my Rotos. That's why he's not the perfect one for these kind of situations. And I think the same thing will work with Cadraphone. I think Cadraphone is like a double hitting A1. I'll have to check, can't remember, but it's not gonna be the perfect mitigation. So boom, take out Leorius, boom. So we're still protected, even though Rotos has a way to protect against single target nukes, because a double hitting nuke would ignore basically his passive. The one hit would take him to 50%, the other hit would take him to the remaining 50%. Deathknight is there to protect through this, and he's like, I want to say a Necrit, but I don't compare him to Necrit in that sense of reducing damage taken. Necrit is way better because it reduces damage through the ally protect from AoE attacks as well. So it's an obvious better champion, but he protects if you don't have something like a Necrit. He can protect from the single target attacks, and he'll be used, I would say, in offensive battles. I think he's gonna be used in Platinum Arena. If you don't have something like a Necrit, you can use him for the single target nukers and try to prevent your team from dying from those kind of teams that try to go against the Warlord meta. So that was in terms of Arena, and oh my, I'm loving this champion. I think the books were worth it for me, and I'll repeat it, you don't need to have books on Ultimate Deathknight to make him work. It just helps to increase his utility through the shields and the continuous heal. The shields, as you saw, are not that great, especially for the 5,000 defense defensive shield plus the defensive aura. Even with an increased defense buff, I wouldn't expect the shields to be as big as the potential of, let's say Valkyrie right here, where she has a much better multiplier than anybody else that has you know, a similar type of buff spell. So guys, this was the video. What you think of Ultimate Deathknight so far? Let me know down below in the comments, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.